Hello, Astro friends! Spooky greetings! It's Melanie on the 29th of October 2024. And of course, we're covering this week that goes across Halloween and All Saints, All Souls, Dias de los Muertos, all of that happening within October 21st to November 2nd, and so much more in the Astro Weather. It's really a packed week. And I hope you also look up my articles on the Astro News blog, because that's where I cover actually more detail than I can possibly do here in 20 to 30 minutes. But let's get into it. Let's see what's up this week. So, first of all, we are approaching the Scorpio New Moon. That, in a way, is a concentration and a catalyst for all else. The Scorpio New Moon this year on All Saints on November 1st at 3:47 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. Still daylight savings time, until the night of November 2nd to 3rd. And so this new moon, let's look at the chart here in right at 10 degrees of Scorpio, borderline first decade to second decade. The first decade, again, that we are on until the 1st of November has a Cancer undertone. And wouldn't we have felt it, right? So many deep feelings, deep stuff to dive into, emotional deep dives everywhere, and triggered through various situations. Of course, only to process and get through it and not to get stuck in it. And now we're going into the center of Scorpio. Right after the new moon, we're going into the second decade, which has a Scorpio undertone and goes until November 11th, November, pretty much 11/11, right? And then the third decade from the 12th to the 21st or 22nd, this year 21st already, will have a Pisces undertone, end of Scorpio. All sorts of release, all sorts of letting go of all the process that we've gone through. And so that Scorpio New Moon will be, speaking of Pisces, right, will be in trine with Saturn in Pisces. And on the note of that early Cancer piece, also extra reinforced, so to say, and brought out through Mars in Cancer. Mars will leave Cancer for now on November. I have to get all my dates straight because everything is concentrated on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That will be on November 3rd. November 3rd is when Mars goes into Leo. And we might feel this transition already as well. So Mars in Cancer has not been super happy, never is, but of course it has its purpose as well. It stirs up our emotions and our needs also. Our need to be safe, especially. Our needs to belong, right? So you could have experienced extremes around that, especially in the Scorpio season. For example, you're in a group of people and you think, yeah, you're invited, all is fine and dandy, and then you realize, actually, this is not my tribe. These are not my people. I don't feel I belong. I don't feel safe to express myself emotionally. And then you can be in a group and or with friends, with people where I feel like, yeah, totally, we can groove here. I can be myself. I am safe. I can relax, right? All of this. And then I can go deep, and there's more intimacy as well. So contrasts of light and night, of day and night, of dark and light, and all of that is definitely coming up in the Scorpio season, and now with a Cancerian theme as well, via the first decade and via Mars. And so Mars will also, with the Scorpio new moon, shortly afterwards on the 3rd, 2 days later, will go into Leo for a while. But let's start with the new moon itself, right? So you have here the moon in Scorpio, of course, right? So every year there is a new moon in Scorpio, and the moon in Scorpio every month herself brings up deep emotional stuff to process, and often painful stuff, right? That gets us to our core. So it has this Pluto connection as well, right? So again, we go to places that usually are hidden. Usually we're not going into this crawl space, right, of our inner emotional workings. And now it really is up. And that, of course, again, and especially with a new moon, right? And so all of you born with a moon in Scorpio, this is your new moon of the year. And again, there's lots of power in the dark, right? The power to change, the power to really come to an essence of what it is to be human. And with all the changes that humans go through in life, right? Including, of course, also Halloween season, including especially we're all moving towards death, and what's beyond death is the big mystery. And so, yeah, all of this is on now. The veils are thin. It's Halloween. It's All Saints. Our ancestors in spirit are here with us. We can access them. And yeah, and there's also, of course, earthbound spirits and haunted places and all this, right? So it's a big spectrum of the mystery that is evoked at this point. And with the Scorpio new moon in connection with Saturn retro, still retro until the 15th of November, which will be the next full moon. And this is a trine. They are in 4 signs apart, 120 degrees alignment, almost exact, right? So this is a friendly, supportive connection with Saturn. Saturn in central Pisces has also a Scorpio undertone here while it's in Pisces. So what's going on here with Saturn in Pisces, that's been going on since March 2023 and goes all in all still until February 2026. And here we have a lot of interdependency, aka chaos, to work with and to deal with. You see that, of course, also in society, where it's like really a crisis in leadership, right? So Saturn's about leadership, and then with Pisces, it's things shift and change all the time, for one, and it's a fluid situation with Pisces, and one never knows what's really the power behind the throne. That's also a theme around Pisces, a mysterious Pisces with a Scorpio undertone. So now, at this point, with Saturn retrograde since late June, interesting, that was the first presidential debate, by the way. Saturn retrograde until November 15th. It is a phase every year, right? Every year for 4 months or so, 4.5 months, to actually go inward to find authority within, while we might also deal with external authority that does or typically does not work for us, right? So, and we could have also internalized authority and parental, especially, issues with Saturn retrograde, especially when you're born with it, and to process that throughout your life to actually come to your inner authority. And don't rely on outer, and don't rely or comply, right? And so that's a Saturn retro theme. And then Saturn will go forward right with the next full moon. So I put that out here, but not going extensively into it. So there's this connection, right? Saturn retro in Pisces also helps us to have boundaries, towards toxic or invasive vibes that contaminate our energy field. So, and at the same time, to actually go into more flexibility, more adaptability. And that can literally mean to let go of a plan, for example, right? When it doesn't feel right anymore. Your gut instinct and your sixth sense, right? Pisces and Scorpio say, no, no, we don't know quite yet why, but we know it doesn't smell good, right? That is this theme. And Saturn, as I said, wants to support us with that new moon energy. Then what's also being catalyzed by the new moon, as I already alluded to, is Mars leaving Cancer, going into Leo for a while. So see, Mars will be right on the cusp. This cusp I call creativity point because it's a very playful energy. Cancer is the inner child, is very playful. Leo is very expressive. So Mars being approaching that one now and being pretty exactly on that cusp on next weekend with the new moon, that can actually really help us. This is a beautiful time also for Halloween, right? Trick or treat, kids out there and knocking at the door and playing pranks, Mars in Cancer, and being playful and all for good cheer and creativity regarding all the decoration, all our dress up fun. So bringing that creative Leo spirit into a Cancer Leo spirit into the spooky Halloween season. Then Mars will be in Leo for a while. And this is the first installation, so to say, in Leo, November 3rd till January 7th. And then comes back end of end of April. So what's going on here? I guess you guessed, Mars will go retrograde. So Mars will go up to like what is that, 6-7 degrees of Leo on December. Okay, I have to handle all my paraphernalia here. Excuse me for a moment. Until 6 degrees of Leo on December 6th, or is it 7th? It's like lots of numbers here, right? So on December 6th, which is also St. Nicholas Day, Mars goes retro at 6 degrees of Leo, and then goes retro back to Cancer, and all the way up to end of February, February 23rd, back to 17 degrees of Cancer, and then forward again through the second half of Cancer, and then fully enter Leo and fully go through Leo from pretty much Taurus season on. So we're not going there or getting way ahead here, but for one, Mars goes into Leo for the first time. And that will be on as of this weekend into early January, like over the whole holiday season. And that itself is quite a fun, celebratory, and expressive energy. We really need that Mars in Leo energy with all else going on in the energy field nowadays that can feel really heavy or feel really difficult or feel chaotic, confusing, overwhelming, and all that. So Mars in Leo brings a light in, brings a celebration in, and life is here. Be creative. Be the creative artist and artist of life. All right? And express yourself. And Leo says, literal Mars in Leo is like, what do you want? And yeah, let's come together and be truly ourselves. Early Leo, especially where Mars goes into, has an Aries undertone. While also in Aries, a lot is happening at this point. The North Node is still in Aries until end of January, and Chiron is in Aries for until 2027, right? So this is all about authenticity. It's all about autonomy and really expressing ourselves truly as we are and being bold and forward about that, and rather than strategic, which can be more a Libra Scorpio continuum, strategic, even manipulative, even fake, even yeah, trying to please and bend over backwards, right? So Aries says, here I go, here I am, and this is who I am. Take me or leave me, and this is my life, right? Especially early Aries North Node, and then also early Aries Mars. Then we have another fiery infusion via Mercury. So Mercury will go into Sag on November 2nd, right? So this weekend will really be a shift to the fire element after the new moon. And so Mercury goes out of Scorpio over what's called what I call the Phoenix point here, Phoenix out of the ashes. We have processed a lot mentally, lots of shadow has come up, lots of background checks, lots of coming out of the closet, revelation of all sorts. And Mercury will be in Sagittarius for a long time until altogether until January 7th, right? Because Mercury also will go retro. So we will have a retro season in November, December, a recap retro. We've had a lot of retro energy, especially in October, and now it comes again via Mercury and Mars. So while the other ones are slow-moving ones, transpersonal ones, unraveling their retro. Anyway, what about Mercury? Mercury enters Sag on November 2nd, then goes retro from about 22, 23 degrees of Sag on November 25th, back to about 6 degrees on December 15th, and then all the way forward, all the way through Sag until January 7th. Long phase. So what's going on with Sag? Mercury in Sag. It's about truth speaking. It's about also coming out like from the scorpionic cave and being more seen, and also having an inspiring message, right? And this is also invocation, right? What is our vision? What do we want to see? And what's the path that can follow that, right? So Sag is very visionary. Sag is can be very convincing also, and can be very inspiring. And ideally, this era of Sag, right, that you have to always pull back to the heart before you shoot it out. It comes from your heart, it comes from your heart truth, and what can go wrong there, right? So, truth is, of course, also a relative thing. It's an absolute thing and a relative thing, right? There is absolute truth, and then there's everybody's truth as well, depending on how they see things. So Mercury retro can help us in Sag, can help us understand again our mental workings and relax a little bit regarding what we consider as the truth, and also see people, where do they come from, what do they value, and what do they see. Maybe they see a whole different world than we see. No wonder they run a different truth, and they consider other things as good and aspirational, right? All of that is Sagittarius. It's a wonderful time also for traveling. If you go, I just saw a message from a friend. She goes back with her daughter to the land of the ancestors. Beautiful for retro journeys, right? Retro journeys from the heart, very much supported, but on the practical side, it can be a little chaotic, especially also with Mars going freshly retro. So keep an eye on that as well. And wonderful time also to move towards the growing light after winter solstice, which we already anticipate in the Sag season. We are lighting the candles of the heart and the candles of celebration in anticipation of solstice, right? And what else is on this week? Let me look at my teleprompter. It's nowadays called, not cheat sheet. Ta-da. So I have just this lineup of events for the week that I will also post here. And in the meantime, my computer is waking up. Hello, good morning. And so what's going on acutely before the Mars and Mercury shift? See, is Mercury still in Scorpio tomorrow on the 30th will oppose Uranus retro in Taurus. So that can bring surprise news or a paradigm shifts in your mind as you get out of a rut, out of some sticky, possibly self-defeating thoughts, and also changing gears and changing habits, as you might, like with Taurus, ground the energy, ground the light, go into the light of nature, right? All of that beautiful. And Mars, Uranus, they actually per se like each other. Uranus is called the higher octave of Mars. It's basically like being really innovative, thinking outside the box, being provocative. But of course, all of that starts in the mind, right? And so Mercury at the very end of Scorpio with Uranus at the end of Taurus retrograde. That is a great energy, in fact, just before Halloween for all sorts of pranks and yeah, it's revitalizing, right? It's a very awakening energy, right? And what's going on with the moon? The moon is now waning, of course, towards the new moon today in Libra since yesterday evening. Today, the 29th. And today, not much going on astro alignment wise. This a little bit of a break, a little space, only in the just before midnight, a quincunx with Saturn. So that's it. So speaking of astro alignments of the day, you can always find those on my Astro page and even on my private page if you are a friend on Facebook, and otherwise on my Facebook page and on my Insta page, and also in the Astro News newsletter, which comes out by email to everybody who's subscribed every new moon and full moon. And with that, I always include the astro weather day by day for the coming 2 weeks, right? So yeah, if you want to subscribe, shoot me a message. And so today, as I said, not too many alignments, just this one. And then tomorrow, the moon will be all day, tomorrow 30th, in Libra. And even until the 31st, Halloween, in the morning, or mid-morning, late morning, 10:29 a.m., when she goes into Scorpio and will be extra dark. So what's with Libra before, right? So this is all about negotiation, relatedness, and of course it also comes with a south node. So that south node point would have already been hit by the moon, so to say, last night. Maybe you noticed that. So many things to weigh and consider, and pros and cons, and yeah, maybe you could have sucked into that. You could have been sucked into that in a way that it really drains energy. Not so great in terms of choices, right? All the pros and cons of choices, very Libran. And now it's also after that and beyond that, I should say, it's time to find balance, right? And that can be literally balance between work and creativity, fun, or it can be integrated ideally, right? I like that. And yeah, so work and play, or work, yeah, or indoor, outdoor, anything that might require more balance. This Libra moon brings that up and wants to help us to tune into that. And balance, of course, also relatedness, right? So compatibility, peace, harmony, all of that. And then choices, right? So choices come up, especially end of Libra towards Scorpio, because that is the choice point. That's the tipping point when choices lead to change. And that theme comes up in the morning of Halloween and 31st, 10:29 a.m., the moon goes into Scorpio, pre-Scorpio New Moon. So on the tipping point. So making a choice that can turn into a real magical experience, or making a choice that can turn into a bit of disaster where you need to process stuff and then come out again with the new moon. So yeah, what are you leaning to, right? Libra side. And either way, it's all good. The new moon in Scorpio, as I said, also in trine with Saturn, can really help us release and renew, right? Release what can be toxic or can be not really supportive, but also come to more intimacy, come to more magic in life, and come to our inner authority also, to yeah, to not give power and authority away with Saturn central Pisces with Scorpio undertone. And then of course the new moon on 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 November 1st, 2024 at 3:47 a.m. And then the moon goes eventually also over the Phoenix Point, coming out of Scorpio, going into Sag. When does that happen? In the evening of November 2nd. That's also the day when Mercury enters Sag. The moon will travel with Mercury and sort of catalyze Mercury into Sag. And the moon and Mercury unite both freshly in Sag. That's literally also the that's the welcoming of Mercury into Sag in the evening of a Saturday the 2nd. So this will be quite a deep waters, deep Scorpio waters, especially into fire transition this weekend. And the moon will be in Sag for the rest of this Astro week, just before election day, US. And so, in other words, Sunday, all day Monday, until Tuesday the 5th at 7:17 a.m. And so the Sagittarius moon again wants to bring us to our heart and to our trust. And of course, Sagittarius is also the rising sign of the United States. I actually, in my article for Mercury, going through Sagittarius, which I just scheduled yesterday, I wrote it, schedule it. It will come out on the 2nd. In that article, I have a special feature about Mercury in Sag and the relevance for the United States. And because it will cross the US ascendant 3 times, I might go back into that next week with the Astro Weather, right with election day. And don't want to overload you and distract and get you into all sorts of tangents. So I'm always coming back to where I need to be, but you might get lost in the journeys mentally. I hope not. So I don't want to confuse you. Anyway, so this Mercury going into Sag and being in Sag for a long time, and that is super relevant for the US in the election and in the first initial phase after the election. And so will be also Mars, right? Mars in Leo and then back in Cancer, Mars retro will be super relevant for the US. So this is just a little precursor, teaser, whatever you want to call it, for what's to come. And yeah, so that is it for today. It's a beautiful day, turned out to be another sunny day. I will probably go out again for a walk today. Was here yesterday, it was beautiful. I hope you get some fresh air and some spooky sights, and wish you a beautiful week through this big transition weekend that we are facing. And all the best to you. Take care. See you soon. Bye.